All right, Ted, you want to lead us in before we bring in our guest? Because I can see him cringing
Absolutely.
about.
Oh, and if he's not cringing, he absolutely should be cringing. All right, let me get my little script here. Which, yeah, where are you? Oh, there you are. Okay. Oh, we're done in a second. God, this is like Rush Limbaugh looking for his paperwork, except without Rush Limbaugh's talent. Okay, here we go. President Joe Biden and his press secretary and other surrogates have repeatedly told the media that he would not pardon his son Hunter Biden on federal tax evasion and gun charges under any circumstance whatsoever. Nothing has substantially changed, yet the president has gone ahead and issued the most controversial presidential pardon since Gerald Ford let Richard Nixon off the hook. Moreover, he has used language familiar to those who follow President-elect Donald Trump to excuse his self-dealing and lying, justifying his actions by accusing the Department of Justice of having been politicized. What does it mean when the standard bearer of the Democrats, who claim that they differ from Trump because they tell the truth, is so willing to make a mockery of the truth? What message are we to take from the fact that both political parties say that the DOJ has been politically compromised? What, if anything, does this do to the Democratic Party brand? What should Biden have done differently? Attorney and historian Tyler Nixon joins the TMI shows Ted Rall and Manila Chan, that's us, to discuss the political and cultural implications of the Hunter Biden pardon. And let me go ahead and bring in Hunter's bio. He's an Army, Tyler's bio. No, I don't mean to conflate Tyler Nixon with Hunter Biden. That is a huge apology. He's an Army infantry veteran, counselor at law, constitutionalist, advocate, writer, technologist, critical historian, extremist in the defense of liberty. Tyler Nixon, it's been too long. Thanks for joining us here on the TMI show.
Hi, Tyler.
Ted, Manila, little bit of substance changes in the show, huh?
A little bit.
I mean, it's literally TMI. I mean, let's go.
TMI.
You know, I mean,
it is.
Hey, but you know what?
Good Lord.
In the defense of Hunter, at least he's not.
I mean,
a pug fucker.
As far as we know.
Yeah, he's an animal.
I think.
Yeah. Gosh,
he's a lot of things. He's a lot of things, but not that.
I think. I'm stunned. I'm just trying to recover from. But anyway, let's get into the Bidens, which is a much more horrifying topic than bestiality with farm animals.
Oh yeah. God.
Good to see you guys. Good to be with you.
Talk to me about this crazy. Okay, I don't even know where to begin with this, Tyler, because we heard Dad saying, I'm not going to get involved. I'm going to let justice do its thing. I'm not. And then, so we're days away from his sentencing. He has 2 separate cases. He was going to get probably the book thrown at him because, you can't be seen as weak, right? Like the DOJ, you can't be seen as weak because it's the president's son. But at the same time, now Joe's claiming lawfare. That's why
unbelievable.
So now he's getting carte blanche for a 10-year span of any possible things he may have done criminally that we do or do not know about. He's just in this 10-year span, carte blanche, nothing. He can't be held liable for any of that stuff. Have you ever heard of a pardon that's just that blanket open? Anything and everything could have been done in those 10 years. I mean, he could have been a pug fucker and he'd be pardoned.
Yeah. Well, I got to tell you, I mean, if people don't think that the Biden nightmare, speaking of Gerald Ford, the long national nightmare will soon be over, I hope. I mean, honestly, this is just such a thumb in the eye of every American. And, look, if he wasn't so roundly rebuked in the last election, I mean, let's face it, it was his presidency. I mean, I think Harris was horrible, but I mean, it was just a total sweeping smackdown. And, I think a lot of people don't even view his presidency as legitimate. I mean, I think that it's for many people, it's going to be in their history of their lives a 4-year black hole in which we were just in a horrible holding pattern with just corruption run amok. And I got to say, if it wasn't for the fact that we're within weeks now of the final end to the blight, to the horror that is the Joe Biden 60-year political career, I would have to be sputtering with rage. But there's that glimmering hope that I don't care. He can pardon posthumously Stalin and I don't care what he does. Okay, he can do anything he wants. Just get the hell out of there on January 20th and good fucking riddance, Biden. I've had to live with this piece of shit for 40 years. Well, I mean, longer than that, but I mean, until I became politically aware in 1984. The first campaign I worked on was John Burris for Senate against Joe Biden, because the more I learned about Biden, learned about what he had, just his maneuvers, the man has, and he's only gotten worse. Let me tell you something. At least in the 1970s, 80s, he had somewhat of a sort of polished style about him. Then I think the aneurysms just totally short-circuited his brain entirely. I mean, and he just turned into this increasingly bizarre, weird, and then now creepy, narcissistic, psychopathological egomaniac.
Really?
And his son is a chip off the old block. But what really enrages me is that this motherfucker has the balls to cite lawfare, and as though he was targeted. You have got to be fucking kidding me. Donald Trump has been hounded to the ends of the earth by the minions of Joe Biden and his apparatchiks at the state level, run by Matthew Colangelo and all these. I mean, just this Smith fraud, Jack Smith. I mean, the whole thing, and and from that to the lies, the Charlottesville stuff, or the whatever, and the fact of the cover up of the laptop or the calling it disinformation. Right. It's just it's for him to act as though he's some victim. I mean, I don't know who wrote that statement. He'd have been better off just to say nothing. Say, you know what? Fuck you. I'm pardoning him. He's my son.
Right. He's my
End
kid.
of story. But he's got to come up with some insulting load of bullshit while there are people still rotting in the DC gulag from the J6 that aren't even. I mean, there's people who haven't even had trials yet. And let me tell you, if I was Donald Trump, I would literally have the 101st Airborne at 12:01 p.m. storming that facility and taking every guard and every person who runs that hellhole down to Gitmo to face real justice. Because I mean, this is America. The way those people have been treated, and that DC. I mean, DC's dank enough as it is. In terms of like the crime problems, but I mean, for the way these people have languished, and frankly, the next move would be to break up the DC circuit, the DC District Court, and just abolish it and just merge it into Maryland, whatever have you, Virginia, and I mean, look, it's just, you think of the expense that the taxpayers. I mean, you have David Weiss, the U.S. Attorney in Delaware, who has spent. I mean, I don't know how these operations, like the Mueller operation, did, like Jack Smith has done. How do you run up tens of millions of dollars as just lawyers running around? I mean, what do they spend it on? That's what I want to know. Like, how are these lawyers getting paid this much money? Are they getting? I mean, where does this money go? It's crazy. But you think of what was. I mean, Hunter put the. I mean, you're talking about investigations. You're talking about entire court trial. You're talking about people who had to come out, jury selection. Right. All this stuff. And Joe Biden just. I mean, he's the same as he's always been. He has absolutely a total imperial mindset, a completely a royalist, really a monarchical mindset. He's always wanted to be the Kennedys. He's run around Delaware for the last 50 years or plus, with the, do you know who I am kind of attitude, cutting lines in front of people. I mean, literally, like there'd be a huge line for whatever it is. I mean, you go to the Greek festival or something, they just walked right to the front of the line. Go to local. Oh my God. I mean, this gets worse.
I hate line cutters.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, and if somebody says anything, do you know who I am? It's like, yeah. And people in Delaware, a lot of them are like, yeah, I know who you are, and get the fuck to the end of the line, asshole.
Get to the back of the line, asshole.
We don't care who you are. You're that doesn't wash here. But no, the worst of it was, and which just the fact that he's giving impunity to his son after he's raked in tens of millions of dollars, selling our country down the river.
Right?
The Bidens would run around Delaware to things like salons, restaurants. They would have small business contractors come in and stiff every one of them. They would go into a salon. Jill would go in, and I know this firsthand, man. I know
hair
the salon.
salon?
Yeah. get like $200 worth of like services for hours. They'd have to shut out all the other, and she would just
Right.
walk out, not even give them anything. Just like, and
So they're
that's why
shitty people is what
they
you're
are.
saying,
They're
Tyler.
grubby, grifting parasites who have no couth. They have no moral sense. They have no class, and they have no
Ugh.
concern for anything but their own bottom line. As I said many times when I thought pondered writing the book, the definitive Biden whatever expose of his life and his family and all this, which I chose not to do because I didn't want my name associated with that piece of trash for the rest of whatever. I certainly have plenty of material, but the book was tentatively titled "Political Animal."
That's pretty good.
Yeah, how Joe Biden became what I said, how Joe Biden became the dumbest, the most successful, dumbest, I forget what it was, something in the DC zoo, but whatever. And it's true of them. I've said before, that's what they are. They're political animals. They literally are. I mean, everything is about the political calculus. Everything is about viability. Everything is about their bottom line. They'll like any sort of predator out in the wild. There's no other species that matters when it comes down to
So
being
none
on
of this
top.
surprises you, right? Because you've known these people. I mean, you look through your high school yearbook. Obviously, it's peppered with the Biden kids. Obviously,
How did you
can't
know?
get rid of that. Oh my God, you have your yearbook.
I literally got them out of storage 2 days ago, just randomly, and I was like, oh well, let's see. You want to see the Hunter picture? This is his senior year.
Show us.
Let's see.
Which one? Let's see.
Right there.
Go to your left. Oh, I see it.
Yeah, you wouldn't know it's the same guy, would you?
I mean, obviously he's a lot older, but he looks like a different person. I mean,
he does.
Yeah,
his face has changed.
Drugs will do that to you.
Drugs and
hard living,
clean living,
hard living, man.
Yeah,
hard living will do that to you. Well, so let me ask you then.
I got to be honest with you. When I was growing up with the Bidens and I saw Joe around, I just was exposed to his politics around town and his original presidential campaigns and just all his BS. I never envisioned. I never thought it would come to this. I never thought I would see a laughing stock, an international laughing stock, and a total disgrace and a criminal. I mean, it's how can you be simultaneous a like the head of a cartel level criminal, yet also at the same time, it's like they're not even. I mean, it's like these. Robert Klein used to have a joke about Spiro Agnew. It's like he said, I'd probably respect him if he took more. But he was taking like a couple $1,000 in envelopes, and he's like, and he said, he had a joke about like how the guys who went to the moon.
What a shitty way to get
the guys who went to the moon could have really, really like, set themselves up for lifetimes. He says, plants the flag, Coca-Cola, says the first words on the moon. It's like, what are you going to do, for next eternity? He says, but Agnew would have sold out cheap. It'd have been like Joe's Crab Shack, Baltimore, and Biden's the same way. It's just like, for what they have sold us out in terms of the Ukraine. I mean, you look at what has been done to protect these criminals in terms of, literally, we're practically at war with Russia over it. I mean,
let me
to
just
protect
say
them.
how pissed off, like on a personal note, like I screwed up when I moved from California to DC, I was still practicing real estate and I was traveling bi-coastally. And so I forgot because, realtors, you're a 1090, you're not an employee, right? So you have to keep track of your own money. So I forgot that there was a $25,000 commission check. I forgot one commission check when I did my taxes because, mind you, I was in part California and part DC. And so when I moved out here, I was trying to, juggle all these different state taxes. I forget one commission check for $25,000 more than 10 years ago. And I have been through the fucking mud with the IRS and all of this stuff and federal taxes, state taxes. And then here you have this asshole burying millions of dollars through Burisma in Ukraine with the IRS, and daddy gives him a pardon so all that money that he earned is completely tax-free. Is effectively, that's what happens, right? Is dad gave him this carte blanche pardon. So
Well,
all that money goes tax-free and he's unpunished. Like he just
no,
gets to
no,
earn it
no,
and be
no. I
fine.
don't. Well, I don't believe that's the case. The person who hooked him up was David Weiss, who let the statute of limitations lapse on 2 of his biggest earning years, where I think he pulled in, millions. I mean, he literally, I think his tax liability for I think it was 2014 and 15 was something like $15 million. You can imagine what he took in. But as far as I know, if you're prosecuted for any kind of tax violations, you don't just it doesn't discharge the tax debt. He still has that tax debt, and I'm sure I
I
mean,
think he
unless they pull something, but I mean, you still are down for that. I mean,
didn't the
the
Sugar
criminal
Bro
penalties
pay?
are in
Is he?
addition to.
I thought the Sugar Bro paid off that Hunter's money.
He did. He brought him up to current on taxes, but I mean.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The Sugar Bro isn't going to get paid back. No, nobody's going to
Right.
get paid back. So,
Well, have you ever seen Tyler, like, a pardon? Is this normal for pardons to just cover this wide swath of like this 10-year time frame where it says everything? The wording is weird, right?
Yeah,
That says everything that we know of and the other things that perhaps we don't know of
I've seen
are
wording
also
like
pardoned.
that. I've seen wording like that, but not for such a long period of time.
yeah. When I think of the tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of Americans from the inner city, from the Black community, from everybody who are languished or have languished in prison because of Joe Biden's mad law and order bootlicking, can't pump enough laws up, mandatory minimums, the drug war. I think of the blight that this man has been on the criminal justice system in the United States. And the number of people who've been incarcerated for ridiculous, absurd, draconian, frankly, cruel and unusual sentences of incarceration because Joe Biden had to, criminalize glow sticks and, the Rave Act and all his fucking bullshit pandering that he's done over the years. The 100,000 cops, the Biden crime bills. And I think of like all the damage this man has done, and that he just so cavalierly like gives this blanket massive pardon and to his son, just like, I mean, it's such a fuck you. It's a perfect, frankly, reminder. If people were starting to think, oh, Joe, people get obviously when the combat's over, I guess, and he's a lame duck. People sort of tend to be, as Americans are good, I think, good-hearted people. They soften up, like, oh, why did I hate Joe Biden again? Well, yeah, here's a reminder, and I'm glad because I mean, I think his final act should be the absolute degradation that reflects his corroded, empty, self-aggrandizing criminal career as a politician and a parasite on this. As I said, I mean, glory, hallelujah. We have only 6 weeks to go, I guess, or roughly a little more than that, actually, until this man is finally out of public life and no longer on the dole, no longer getting a public paid taxpayer paid paycheck, no longer.
Well, he'll still get a taxpayer paid paycheck.
Well, yeah, I mean,
Well,
no, you're right. He's
For
got
the
a
rest of his
pension. I
life.
know. They ought to remove that. I mean, oh God, yeah.
So
no.
Tyler-
Ted, I was just enjoying that moment, and you had to ruin it for me.
Like, oh,
Sorry,
damn it.
that's what I do.
No, that's fine.
Mention.
Look. I mean, but he's not going to have all the trappings of that he's loved so much. I mean, this man has pined to be the big shot since he was a bullshit artist, 29-year-old half-assed county councilman who lied his way and two-faced his way into the Senate in '72, and has been just a complete wart on the ass of American politics ever since.
Tyler, let me ask you about the media coverage. The first thing when I heard about this news yesterday, I mean, by the way, so this is a two-part question. I mean, I think it's fair to say that no one is surprised by any of this, but it's still shocking.
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
It's irritating, annoying as fuck.
It's because you could see it coming a million miles away.
Yeah.
But it's kind of like there's something especially irritating about being lied to when you know you're being lied to, and the person who's lying to you knows that and just keeps doing it.
Everybody knows it's a bullshit story.
It's kind of like, I'm taking the piss at you. I have no respect for you at all, the American people. I don't give a shit. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want, and there's nothing you can fucking do about it, right? But that's not what I wanted to get at.
God, I love that we can swear on this show.
It's so
I know.
funny.
Don't you wish they would just say that though? It's like we all know Joe is full of shit saying he's not going to interfere in his son's case. We all know Hunter is this dirtbag, sister-in-law fucking like gun-toting
Hey, she was
whatever.
hot.
Like
I would have tapped that.
she's like fine. She's pretty. What is it? Hallie? Is that her name? Hallie?
Hallie.
Yeah,
Hallie?
yeah, she's a
pretty,
real.
Both.
I could tell you.
She was pretty dishy on the beach there in that one
She's,
photo.
she's but
I was
still.
like,
Let me
But,
say her name, or what I would say, begins with a C and ends with a T, and it ain't Cat.
Okay, I'll take one. I'll need one guess.
Although her sister was nice. I liked her sister. And
But-
I'll tell you what I liked was Kathleen Biden. It was, Hunter really screwed up bad. She was a
Oh, is that the
nice-
wife? The first
yeah,
wife?
his wife. Yeah, I thought was like very fond of her.
What
She
about
was
this?
always-
So let's talk about the media, though. I mean, so this news breaks last night, and today I checked the New York Times op-ed section. I checked the Washington Post, right? The two leading news organs in the United States. The New York Times has one piece by Bret Stephens. It's a half length. It's probably 250 words, and the reaction is suitable and appropriate. But that's all there is, such as there is. There's no editorial. There's nothing else. All the resident liberals, who are the 95% of the people who are there, all the Democrats, they're all just like, la, 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 la. Let's talk about the situation in Azerbaijan or whatever. And then over at WAPO, literally nothing. It's just donut hole.
Yeah.
Nothing. Like, we're not even going to comment on this. Nothing. I mean, and it's really toxic, right? I mean, all along, they told us, absolutely not. We're not going to pardon Hunter. No way, no fucking way. Will not happen. Quit asking about it. What's wrong with you? And it's like, oh, yeah, we're pardoning him. I mean,
you wouldn't,
it's insane.
I would almost feel sorry for that Muppet, Karine Jean-Pierre, if she wasn't such a supercilious twit when she answered these questions, as though like, I have told you before, with her she's ridiculous. I mean, a ridiculous figure, and probably she deserved to have to spout those lies. But it's I've said before, it's like Biden, he'll lie when it's not even necessary, and in this case, it's like the fact that they denied it all along. I guess there maybe was a thought that maybe Harris would win and that she would take care of him, or something like that. But I guess, the Trump victory really cornered him. Obviously, he had no other choice. There's no other route to do that. So it was inevitable. Again, it's like they can never. I mean, this is like it's psychopath level behavior when they can do this and issue some sort of statement that's like the completely self-righteous. I mean, it's like I'm numb to it, but I'm just like you said, it's no less shocking that he could get on his high horse when this man has unleashed the most lawfare and has weaponized the judiciary and the DOJ against so many citizens, and then complains as though his son is targeted because he's his son. No, he's targeted because he's your son, because he's a crook, because he's your son, because he's cashed in on your influence peddling and racketeering with him. That's why he's targeted, because he's your son, not because, oh, Joe Biden's such a immaculate, amazing person that we have to all take him down. And all those meanies, all those Republican meanies in the DOJ, right? They're all targeting Hunter Biden. I mean, it is ludicrous. It is, again, it's a fitting sort of epilogue, I guess you could say, to his corroded career, his absolutely repulsive persona, and his absolute complete lack of any moral character whatsoever. He is just a common thug, a crook, a shanty Irish clown. And again, it's just a few weeks. This man, I mean, I'll probably run into him in church in Rehoboth Beach when I go back to see my mother. I don't know what I have trouble holding back,
I know it's hard even for me to like drive by the Biden rest stop on I-95.
Oh, really?
Oh my God, yes. I stopped there.
Yeah, no, it's true. It's like,
where is it?
It's like in that little corner that I-95 runs through the northwestern corner of the state.
I just stopped
state?
there.
Delaware.
Delaware and New
yeah, of
Jersey.
course.
Yeah.
What was I thinking? Duh. I didn't even realize. Oh God. Yeah,
But
yeah.
it's
I
It would
just
probably
got
be.
there.
Let's see. Oh, I know which one you're talking about. They renamed that for him.
Yeah, I'll send you a picture.
It's in Newark, right before you get to the Delaware
Yeah,
Memorial
that's
Bridge, right?
Yes,
That's
Oh,
I got to
God.
send that to you because I stopped there and I went, "Are you fucking kidding me? They
I know,
named
it's
this for
so
him? Like,
gross.
really?"
It's
But
absurd. Well, and I was in
all right.
Scranton. I drove through Scranton fairly recently, and there's a Joe Biden highway there too. But I'm
Oh,
like, it's like what? I don't even understand.
So
They should take that shit down now. But I
yeah.
mean,
let, let,
so question though. Manila brought this up earlier before you came on. I mean, and I think it's really an important question to follow up. Is Joe afraid? Did he do this in part because he was afraid that Hunter might blab if he wasn't allowed to be kept silent about his shady Burisma dealings? I mean, I suspect we're going to learn a lot more about all that, or we would have learned a lot more about that under a Trump administration, especially with more investigatory power. And I think it's safe to say that military support for Ukraine is going to ebb, and the Zelensky government its days are counted. So, with all of those developments, was there a concern that the truth about the relationship between Hunter Biden and Burisma was going to come true? And it was like, we've got to insulate him. We've got to give him a pardon. We've got to make sure he shuts the fuck up.
Yeah. Well, I would say that would be true had he been prosecuted for anything coming close to all of the public corruption and influence peddling and that kind of stuff. Instead of just the least charges, I mean, the sort of the most attenuated charges, the most removed charges possible from Joe. I don't think there's anything in the pipeline. I think, and I didn't see any. I didn't detect. I mean, obviously, if you're going to have someone spill the beans, it has to be to some sort of prosecutorial entity, and I haven't seen any prosecutorial entities or prosecutors.
Well, he was threatening to write a book, according to Manila, right?
Well, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I guess if he was sitting in prison, but I mean, that was just never going to happen. It was a fait accompli. Um, they ought to be more worried about get somebody kidnapping and brainwashing, not brainwashing, but literally interrogating him somehow, or putting truth drugs into him and having him spill the beans. But there's really, what is there to discover? I guess. I mean, other than maybe hidden accounts, we already know. I mean, go to Marco Polo. Biden laptop or BidenReport.com. My friend Garrett Ziegler has done, I mean, an amazing job. It's hundreds and hundreds of pages. You can see it all, and that's just from the laptop from, I guess, from about what 20, late 2000s up until about 2016, or a little later than that even. And you can see everything. I mean, all of the wheeling and dealing. So I don't know what more there would be to reveal that we don't already know. I mean, we can see that it was obviously he was paid millions of dollars by this corrupt. And I remember going on the air in Delaware in 2014 when I read this press release and be like, oh yeah, Hunter. Oh yeah, I remember him being I remember he was a pipeline expert.
Yes.
I mean, it was just like we're laughing.
Definitely an oil
and
expert.
I never thought it would
expert.
come to this. I mean, but my God.
But yeah, it's become obviously like an international scandal at this point. But so let me ask you this. As a lawyer, what's next for somebody when they get pardoned like this? Like, do they just sail off into the sunset? Are we just never going to hear from Hunter ever again? Is he going to finally shut the fuck up and lay low and just count his lucky stars that his dad got him off the hook one last time? Or does he somehow, I don't know, exploit this? I don't know how you would, but somehow exploit it and make more money off of it somehow. Or, I mean, what happens when somebody gets pardoned? Now what for this dirtbag?
Well, Hunter has never had any ambitions whatsoever in his life. He was just he was basically, I always knew that I always said Bo, his older brother, is going to be Bo's the politician, the front guy, and Hunter's going to be, the fundraiser, the whatever, the hatchet man, whatever you need him to be. And I think you could see how he's embedded himself in the corroded rectum that is Hollywood, basically the Hollywood culture. So he's
Well, yeah,
just
isn't his new wife, a producer or something? Like she's a filmmaker or something?
probably. I mean,
Or
I'm
something like
sure.
that.
I'm sure he chose wisely. And look, he's been. You can see how he's developed those relationships, so he can just like any sort of like these like a lot of these like imagine him more like you think of a failed actor or failed star or someone who's they were a flash in the pan or maybe they had some success, but then suddenly now they're just kind of skulking around Hollywood and people
Right.
know who they are, but nobody cares. And they can do whatever they want. I think you're gonna see him disappear into that. I mean, there's no way he has no public ambitions about anything. I think he's gonna, other than the only thing you'll see him up to is trying to rake in or trying to figure out how to keep the pipeline open for cash. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to go to him in any capacity. I think he's disbarred at this point, or should have
Wow.
been, for anything. I mean, other than just the sort of the novelty of his celebrity.
Right.
And look, I've hung out with him. Hunter can be a fun guy to be around and hang out with.
Oh, I bet.
But
Sure.
it gets it honestly I guess yeah, it just
Well, I will say
he's
there
such
was a story.
it's so degenerate. It's just hard to.
He was a shitty Airbnb renter, apparently. He rented some
Yeah, I saw
high-end
that.
Yeah, he rented some
That poor.
high-end house like in Venice near the canals in Los Angeles, and it was like a $12,000 a month rental. And apparently he trashed the place, and it was filthy and it was dirty, and there was bugs, there was like food, like apparently he was really gross. So I
Just like
don't
I said, I mean, I remember I mentioned that all the people they stiffed in Delaware, and I recall a story of their house, the Biden household, which was an old DuPont sort of manor house or state house, a beautiful house, but I mean, it was built in probably the 1920s and not much. They hadn't really kept it up, and apparently the Bidens, they don't keep up the house. I mean, I guess maybe now they've maids and whatever, but and there were these contractors in there, I guess, working on the kitchen, or like fixing like whatever the issues with this, you get it with practically 100-year-old house. And
Yeah.
And one of the guys I guess not knowing Jill was in earshot. He's like, in his typical Delaware, the sort of the towny accent. He's like, man, these people live like fucking pigs, and she heard it. They got thrown out immediately, and I'm sure they wouldn't have been paid anyway. Like the rest of I mean, the people they've stiffed. There's people I'm talking like small business people with like maybe a guy who's a mason or a bricklayer with with maybe one or two guys and does a retaining wall for Joe that would be $35,000. This is probably this guy's month or and
Right,
just like
right.
no, and they're like, sorry, you're not paying. What do you mean? What are you going to do? Sue the senator? I mean, it was literally like that. I mean, just like run like a mafia family, like a cheap mafia family. Yeah, I'll just that we've had
Like,
the Bushes, the Clintons, the Obamas, the Bidens now. I mean, just
Although in
geez.
fairness, Trump was famous for stiffing his contractors.
I was just gonna say, yeah, but the thing is, people talk. They talk about
not the way
that.
the Bidens did. I mean, come on, Trump was
People
doing
talk about
massive
that.
projects that probably were. I mean, they probably ran up. I mean, you got to look at the market he was dealing with. In many cases, they probably overpriced what he was having done. Plus, look, I mean, it is what it is. When you have a building project like a major development or a building you're putting up, you're going to have cost overruns, and you're going to. I mean, there's going to be issues in some cases where, look, I mean, they have to cut corners. They have to sort of cut across the board, or it's not going to be a viable project. That's different from someone having a person come into their home space or to their home, whatever, and literally just
or a little local salon.
Yeah, like exactly, and just like the working people, and just screw them like you're some kind of
That's
royal
really
fucking imperial, whatever Caligula.
That's just
I know, and
you
I'll
never
say, I mean,
hear those
and
stories.
comparatively, Donald Trump is extremely generous with people. I mean, he leaves.
I have heard that.
Yeah, he'll literally do things like, oh, he'll hear that the waitress is, had something over here that she has. He'll pay off her mortgage. It's like that kind of stuff.
Yes,
Like, he literally
quietly,
does that
and
stuff.
we never hear
Yeah,
about that stuff. And when
right.
Trump still had the hotel down here in DC, when they first opened, I myself went as a patron, but then I'm a reporter. I still went stalking around the entire main floor of the old post office building. And
Yeah.
I asked everybody from the doorman to the bartenders to the waitresses if they had any encounters with Mr. Trump or any of the Trump kids. And everybody was gushing
Yeah.
about the Trump kids and Mr. Trump himself and how generous he was, and like Christmas bonuses, and just everybody had nothing but gushing, glowing stories about Donald Trump. And it kind of gave me pause, because I was going, I just wasn't expecting that, I guess. I mean, I went there with an open mind. Obviously, I was there to have drinks with friends, but then I wandered away because the reporter in me, I said, I'm here. I'm gonna ask the workers, like, what had they experienced with Trump?
And
And they
it's
had
let me tell
nothing
you,
but
it's
glowing
not.
stories about him.
Yeah, and it's not like they're like trying to suck up to the boss or afraid that if they say
No.
anything otherwise. No, it's genuine. And let me tell you something, it goes back as long as he's been anybody, literally back to the
Yeah,
80s. I
I've
know
heard that
people who
too.
worked a guy, friends who one in particular was like he worked security at the Trump casinos in Atlantic City like in the 80s. And he was raving. He was like, he couldn't understand how they were calling Trump like homophobic or against LGB whatever, when he was the only casino in the entire Atlantic City, which the rest was run like sort of mobbed up, who would hire any gay people whatsoever.
Really?
And he was very and also women. He had
Right.
lots of women that and executive levels of his organization. It's like it's just. Yeah, I mean the defamation and the lies about him. Yeah, I guess I'm glad to see he was able to make a comeback, a serious comeback, because
It's an amazing story, right? I mean,
That is the comeback of the millennia.
yeah, Bill Clinton is no
Political
longer
comeback.
the comeback kid.
No,
Not after
No,
this.
no.
and we'll never see anything like that again. I mean, you'll never see a
hard to
president,
imagine.
do 2 non-consecutive terms. I mean,
Right.
the only close
Grover
rival
Cleveland.
is
Grover Cleveland.
in our lifetime certainly is that. I mean, this was such a rare. I mean, who
Especially,
yeah.
I mean, with the headwinds he had to confront with.
I remember, it's so funny you say that. Like I was thinking back to about a year ago when I thought about when they started like all the lawfare prosecutions and all, it was all coming into view. And I thought, my God, this man, the number of like hurdles, the number of needles he has to thread, the number of how he has to perfectly down the line. I'm just sort of
it's like the
wow.
trials of Job. I mean,
yeah.
it reminds me. There's a Central Asian explorer named Sven Hedden. He was a Swedish guy, and one of the books that he wrote is called Trans Himalaya. And if you read like business journals and where they ask CEOs, like, what's your favorite book about how to learn how to be a great manager or business person and how to overcome adversity, a lot of them will point to this book. So I checked it out. It's actually really hard to find. And you have to track it down like on eBay. And sometimes if you're lucky, you can get like a reprint. But anyway, it's like this guy goes into modern day Tajikistan and the deserts of China. And basically everything that can go wrong keeps going wrong, right? Like there's the sandstorm, there's the blizzard, there's the disease that wipes out his canvassé. There's robbers, there's murderers. Everything gets fucked up and he survives, although most of his traveling companions die. And it's like, it's like that kind of crazy narrative. Politically, I really wish Teddy White were still alive.
Wait, there's no punchline like he hits the lottery at the end or something?
Yeah, the punchline is he survives. And
okay, great.
And he maps and charts some new areas of Central Asia. That's it, and comes back and gets greeted by the Swedish king. No, it all works out. And he ends up living another 40 years and seeing some cool and doing some cool and interesting things. The point is that, I wish that there was a book, The Making of the President 2024, that would really, like, there will be, that just marches us through this amazing series of comebacks. But I think the real analysis is going to be, this was the ultimate example of what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. The lawfare enhanced his candidacy. He may not have won without it.
That's the other thing I was thinking about at the beginning when we were getting ready to come on. I thought, what if Trump had they just said, okay, fine, just he wins a re-election in 2020? I think things would be it would be markedly different. I think we'd have real. I mean, it's just like the fortunes of the Republican Party, of the MAGA people, of the populist forces, of the grassroots, of the new media, the alt media. I don't think any of that would be what it is today.
I agree.
Were it not for
Yeah.
this wilderness period that was like a perfect leavening, so to speak, period, and prepared Donald Trump to step into this moment and to have this massively resounding victory. That's again not just a restoration of and a validation of him, but also a total rebuke of the, I mean the absolute sort of crux issues that we've been living, from the border to the tranny stuff to the what else? The weaponization of government, or weaponization of law, and justice. I mean, all that stuff was like came together, and it was like, man, you rarely get an election where it's that clear a set of issues in terms of a mandate, and also the fact of either validating or refuting the lawfare and their what they think of what was done to Donald Trump. And I'm so glad it turned out the way it did, because I've said before, he has to win, not because I think he's the greatest thing since sliced bread, but because they cannot get away with doing what they did to him. And fortunately, they haven't. Thank God. Thank you, American people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's such a resounding win. Nobody can take that away. It wasn't just an electoral victory. It was just a thumping. It was the popular vote and electoral. Like, it just, that there's no if and or buts about it, and it was a huge rebuke, I think, of the entire Democratic Party and everything we've lived through the last 4 years. And so I don't know. I think it's to me still, though, whether you like this or not, Tyler, I'm going to say at the end of that election process, this was a victory for Joe Biden against his own party.
Well, a vengeance victory,
Totally. He was
yeah,
like, haha,
sure.
you fuckers, you thought you can coup me and
I
put
just
Kamala Harris in
love
there?
how Joe Biden's his ultimate sort of victory is to fuck over his entire party and his vice president. I
I
love
think
it. I mean,
ultimately
I
that's
love it.
his
I love it.
win.
It's so fitting. So fitting. It's
Right.
so cosmically perfect.
I think
Right.
it's
That's
also,
exactly my point.
ironically, Bernie Sanders has to be laughing his ass off. It's like, you shivved me not once but twice
Right.
to put this asshole in the second time.
Yeah.
Look, I wouldn't have done
Oh, well,
this to
what do
you.
you think Hillary thinks? Jeez, my
Yeah.
God.
That was this election was not only a victory of Trump, it was a rebuke of the entire Democratic Party, the DNC, and the dirty tricks they've been playing the last 15 years. And I think it's exposed and it's all out in the open. And now they're going to have to recalibrate. They don't know, what 2028 is going to look like, but they're saying Gavin Newsom, they're saying AOC, they're saying Pete Buttigieg. They have no idea where to go. They're on their back foot, but what they haven't learned is to look inward yet, because this was all their own doing, and they deserve to squirm and writhe in pain the next 4 years for just everything we've lived through the last 6 years because of them.
All
I
right.
see. I
We're
see
so
someone
out
asked
of
a
time.
picture, or a picture. Asked a picture. Asked a question. I could maybe, you want me to answer real quick, or
Please.
Go for it.
just says, does Tyler think Trump 2.0 will avoid the mistakes of his first administration in terms of terrible hires and getting captured by the deep state? Kash Patel is FBI director. I'd say, yeah, certainly yes. I don't. I think there's pitfalls you're never going to be able to avoid, but and the Democrats are going to play their games, but no, it's going to be radically different. I think there's such a, I mean, he was naive and had no allies really when he entered in 2017. This time he's got a whole wrecking crew with him: Bobby Kennedy, Elon Musk, Vivek Ramaswamy. I mean, Ratcliffe at the as national, or excuse me, as CIA. Yeah, it's already radically different. We just got to get them through the rhino phalanx in the Senate.
All right.
All right, Tyler.
Hunter Biden, what a story.
Why would you keep calling? Don't call him that.
No, I know.
Tyler Nixon.
It's the topic is Hunter Biden.
I
All
know.
I know.
This
Well,
good stuff.
I'll let you guys get back to your bestiality discussions and so
Yes,
forth.
oh
And,
my
Of course,
God.
as
other
usual.
tidbits of degeneracy and
That is the TMI. This is the degeneracy that encapsulates the Biden administration 4 years, right? There it is.
yes, and I
Hug
love
fucking.
it. Well, I love the TMI show. I don't love the Biden.
All right,
Thank
Tyler,
you,
come
Jesus.
back soon.
Will do.
Thank you, Tyler.
Thank you
Thanks,
so
guys.
much.
Great
Thank you
to be
so
with
much.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right, and that was Tyler Nixon. Thank you so much for being here on the TMI show. He is God. I don't have his bio up. I'm like, I'm a mess
I'll do
today.
the bio.
Do the bio.
Tyler is an Army infantry veteran, a counselor at law, a constitutionalist, an advocate, a writer, technologist, critical historian, and extremist in the defense of liberty. So that's always fun when we have Tyler on because I mean, how often, what are the chances, right, that like we happen to be friends with somebody that grew up with the freaking Bidens, with the sons of the president of the United States? Like when does that happen? You know, and the son, the surviving son happens to be the dirtbag that he is, and one of our friends happens to know where some of the bodies are buried and what it was like growing up with them, you know. So obviously Tyler's the guy that you had to bring on to talk about this because
Yep.
not only is he an attorney, he actually knows the Bidens. So for all those that were new to this, that's who Tyler is. Because obviously, Ted, people that followed us from before know who Tyler is. But if you
God,
were
think about
not
all. We
familiar,
come full circle. Think of all the times that we talked to Tyler about Hunter Biden, and then here's the denouement. He was really the perfect person to have us to join us today.
Yeah. So a lot of the viewers may not be familiar with who Tyler Nixon is. That's who he is. Just by chance, Tyler Nixon grew up, born and raised in Delaware, grew up with the Biden boys, and literally grew up with them, knew them. So it's just a crazy small world.
It is.
And so for this to happen the way it did, Tyler Nixon is the perfect guy to bring on. And Tyler has gone to the other end of the political spectrum from the Biden family. And he's actually seen, he's been to the party, he's been to the, he's seen how this family works and the corruption behind closed doors and the public persona and image that's been so carefully crafted of Joe Biden, Ted, of all, like he's this poor, here's poor old Joe. He's like this widower, blah, blah, blah. So sad. Not that that's not true, but that's the image that they put forth and not really the dirtbag that he is, that we elected as president in 2020. So here we are. All right. That's going to do it for us. We've gone way over, but it was, we took a long break, so it's okay for us to go a little way over. While we have you, we ask that you please become a paid subscriber. If you are on Rumble, just hit that $5 that subscribe button at the bottom of the chat, $5 a month, so we can keep doing the show for you. If you're enjoying what you're seeing, our weird random pug sex jokes, you want more of it, hit that subscribe button. Who doesn't want more? Who doesn't want to talk about bestiality on a Monday morning? That's fun. But of course, that'll keep us fully independent. Also, if you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button. It doesn't cost you anything. It helps us get to the numbers we need to reach in order to become fully monetized. And then we can, start making a decent income from this when the numbers grow. And of course, please share. If you're not in a position monetarily, please share our channel, share our clips, cut them up, like draw dick pics on us. It doesn't matter. Whatever. Just share it. Just get us out there. Help us grow. Draw pugs on our faces. Whatever. I don't think we mind, right, Ted?
No.
Or cat. Hi.
And no cat fucking. Cat fucking is verboten.
Oh. No animal fucking, people. If I got to send you off with a message on a Monday, don't bang your animals.
That seems like a low bar.
Just please
don't. Even Hunter, that might be one of those things that Hunter Biden was pardoned for in that 10 years.
I know.
That we don't know about. I don't think Hunter Biden's a cat fucker.
Doesn't seem like the type. At all? You don't think he's a pet fucker?
Nah,
no, he does like those little young prostitutes.
That's true.
We don't know how young, how old, because it's in Budapest or wherever it was that he was.
True.
But they look very, very, very young, is all I'll say. So, and he likes pictures of his teeny bopper niece. Ugh.
That's a little weird.
That's a little in her bathing suit. Like
That's
middle
weird.
schooler.
Yeah,
that's
not good.
That's not good. So animal banging, maybe not a hunter thing. Kitty paraphernalia, maybe.
Kitty
Just
petting is fine.
Ugh. Anyway, that's gonna do it for us, guys. We'll be back on Monday. Ted and I are both on the mend.
We are.
I slept more than one consecutive hour without waking up in a coughing fit. So that is a win. That is a win. So I will take it, but we're getting there.
We're living the same life. You know, it's like the coughing thing. It's like, brutal.
So I'll take it. We will take it. All right. Thank you guys for being here with us. We will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, the TMI show, Manila Chan, Ted Rall. We is Audi 5000. Adios, amigos. Thanks for being here.
Au revoir. À bientôt. À demain.
Bye.